I'm still thinking about feeling. I'm thinking specifically about emotions as opposed to feelings. I'm distinguishing between them, and I'm trying to lock into my brain the distinction between those two things. I know they are used interchangeably sometimes, but some of the people I've been talking about and reading about, particularly Antonio Damasio, a neuroscientist, neurologist, he makes a distinction which I think is really handy actually. And he's going back to William James, I think, and James Lang theory, I think, yeah, whatever. Anyhow, I'm trying to lock into my head the distinction between emotions and feelings. And the way the analogy I'm thinking of right now is a car I used to have. Right now I've got this old Audi that I bought off eBay. But before I bought this one a few weeks back, I had a Vauxhall Zafira, which I also bought off eBay about 2 years ago. And it was a right pain in the arse, that car. It was a real lemon, you know. It was always, well, it didn't ever break down as such, but it was always very hard to start and little things that keep going wrong with it, you know. But what that Vauxhall had, which I think a lot of modern cars have, which my Audi doesn't have, thank God, is an engine management system, which basically means a little light in your dashboard that tells you something's gone wrong, but doesn't tell you what it is. But more specifically, it's a CPU, a little piece of computing apparatus under the bonnet, which is connected to a whole series of detectors and sensors in different parts of the car. So there's a sensor near your exhaust, which measures your emissions. There's one near where the timing device is for your spark. There's a sensor near which measures the mixture, the fuel air mixture before it goes into the engine. Now, there's different sensors around the vehicle, and these sensors all send information back to the CPU, the central processing unit of the engine management system. Come on, pup. And if anything goes wrong, of course, if any of these detectors shows a fault of any kind, two things happen. The first thing that happens is that it shows this really annoying light on your dashboard, which my car had for 2 years. The second thing it does is it automatically configures the rest of your car into a particular mode. What certainly in that old Zafira was referred to as get you home mode. So the sensors through the CPU would also be connected to devices which throttled back your engine so you couldn't drive more than 30 miles an hour, did various things to your timing, did bits of stuff to your fuel air mixture. So it put the whole car onto a kind of an emergency footing so that it couldn't blow up, couldn't destroy itself because of the fault, and would enable you to kind of limp home on it. And I think that engine management system in that Vauxhall is a bit like the way that emotions work, at least in the way that Damasio talked about it and William James used to talk about it, which is that, you know, particularly a primary emotion, an emotion like fear or anger, it's triggered by a stimulus. You know, you've got a whole series of detectors around your body. You know, you've got your eyes and you've got your sense of smell, and you've got all these things, these little detectors around your body. And sometimes something happens which signals a problem. You know, like something looms in the corner of your vision suddenly, or you hear a loud bang suddenly, or I don't know, somebody screams behind you. A whole series of faults in the environment, of warning signs in the environment. And one of those signs shows up on one of your detectors, on one of your sensors. And several things happen. But one of the things that happens with the human body is that it puts it into a kind of emergency mode, in the same way that the sensory system in the Vauxhall put the car into a get you home mode. A bit more complex in the body. You know, if it's fear, for example, if something looms and triggers your fear response, then, you know, it'll send adrenaline through your system. It might evacuate your bowels ready for flight. It might tense certain muscles up. It might change your heart rate, change your breathing, squirt all kinds of chemicals into your brain and different parts of your body ready to do stuff. So basically it configures your body in the same way that the engine management system configured the engine in my Vauxhall. ready to do something. In the case of the Vauxhall, it was kind of get you home without blowing up, and in the body it might be to fight, to run away or to fight or something like that. But those are in Damasio's terms at least, those are emotions. You know, it's your body doing something in response to a stimulus. It's detected something. Your sensory motor system, your senses, have detected something, and the motor part of that have kicked in and to produce this response. And it's these responses which in Damasio are the emotions. Now that's distinct from feeling in Damasio, because you don't have to be conscious or to have feelings to have emotions. My Vauxhall didn't have feelings, but in a purely technical sense, it has a kind of emotion. It's a bit of a one-note samba. It's only got the one emotion. It hasn't got the whole gamut of human emotions, which go all the way from anger to fear to joy, all three of them. It's only got the one, which is get you home. But I think it's as meaningful to say that the Vauxhall has an emotion as it is to say that the human body has an emotion. But of course the Vauxhall doesn't have feelings, and in William James and in Damasio, feelings are the conscious perception of those emotions. So if my car had some weird quantum computer lodged in it, which took the data from the CPU about what it was doing to the engine, you know, throttling it back, doing something to the timing, all that kind of stuff. And if this weird little bit of quantum computer could take that data about the CPU and feel it somehow, then those would be my car having feelings. The car hasn't got that. It appears people do. We have prefrontal cortex, we have these frontal lobes, where all of that information that's processed elsewhere about, you know, the body putting itself into a flight or fight condition, about the adrenal system kicking in, you know, about all that musculature, because one of the sensors has figured out something looming, has reared up next to it. Then you know, the frontal cortex kind of sees that or feels the other parts of the brain doing that, and that's what we call a feeling, the perception of an emotion. I think I got that right. Okay. I don't think my car ever had any feelings. I felt feelings in response to it, actually. You know, I would get angry because of my car slowing down. So weirdly enough, I think, there would be a way of saying that my car, my old Vauxhall, as an extension of my body, and you know, the Vauxhall, all those detectors and sensors in the Vauxhall's engines are kind of an extension of my body, and my perception of that emotional state is one of frustration. I fucking hated that car so much. Not a headroom, no, a lot of headroom in the Vauxhall, but not a good car.